Hey everybody, welcome to Swim Sets by the Pool. Today we have a very special episode. Not only are we actually at by the pool,
We're by the pool.
We are by the pool. We have a special guest, Mark Story. He's extremely well known in the Santa Barbara swimming community and well beyond. As a swimmer, he competed in the Olympic trials and swam for Iowa. And as a coach, he's done so many things. He's currently the head coach of Santa Barbara Masters, the head coach of Santa Barbara Swim Club, was the former assistant coach of UCSB for how many years?
9 seasons.
9 seasons, and he's gotten several swimmers to the Olympic trials. He's coached, world record holders, former Olympians. His resume is insane. So he's going to have a lot of cool stuff to bring to the podcast today, and we're super excited to have him. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Kyle. It's great to be here.
Awesome, Mark. Well, I'm super stoked to have you on the pod. Thanks for being willing to do this. This is actually a pool where Mark coaches master swimming right now. We just did a little master set, me and Kyle. This is the Los Baños pool in Santa Barbara. It's right by the beach, so it's super nice. But Mark, we always start off the episode with a quick tip. What's a quick tip you have for the listeners about swimming?
One thing I always tell the master swimmers, I almost say this every single time, you're never as fast as when you push off the wall. So make sure you hold your streamline, keep your eyes down, do a couple dolphins, good breakout. So every time you think you may hate walls, but you're never as fast as when you push off those walls.
Nice. That's a good one. Yeah, it's one thing that I've been learning because I didn't swim competitively as a kid. I started swimming later in my life when I was 18, 19. And yeah, getting the streamlines down and just knowing which hand to have on top and which arm to take a stroke with first and trying to keep that speed was a huge learning curve for me. So yeah, that's a great tip.
Definitely, because when you do that breakout and you take a big breath right off the wall, or you're pushing off streamline, you're just not streamline, you end up just stopping yourself. So it's you're restarting every time you start a lap.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, sweet. Kyle, you have any questions to kick off before we get into the meat of the set?
Yeah, actually. So being a master's coach, you're working with a very wide range of swimmers, some very wide different backgrounds. What's one difference you can tell as a coach between a triathlete that's not come from a swimming background versus a master swimmer that's older and came from a swimming background? Is there anything obvious that pops out?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yes, you definitely can. I think when you can tell when people have swam their whole life because there's something about their core engagement and how they keep their body position. They just know how to hold a nice line in the water versus triathletes that haven't swam before. It's really trying to get that body line, trying to make sure they're not squiggling down the pool, learning how to breathe without kicking a leg out. That's usually and they usually don't have very flexible ankles. So you see these big stiff legs and these ankles that are flex the opposite direction. Yeah. Every time they breathe, they like to kick their legs out to balance themselves.
Yeah.
So that's usually one of the first things to try to work on is core engagement with triathletes.
Do you feel like triathletes try and use too much legs when they swim and their kick just isn't that efficient because of the stiff ankles?
There's a little bit of that. Some try to use too much legs, some don't use them at all.
Okay.
So some don't learn how to connect their legs and their hips and their shoulders and their whole body together.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're just dragging along.
Yeah. Nice.
I always expect triathletes to be really good kickers because their legs are obviously super conditioned. But when I was going to some of the practices with triathletes, their swimming was a lot closer to mine than the kicking was. They were very limited in the kicking, and I think a lot of it had to have been ankle flexibility because the leg, the conditioning was there in the legs. So it was something technique wise, and I feel like with kicking it's fairly simple. You move your legs up and down, and you don't bend your knees too much. But yeah, there was always something I noticed that was off. So it's good to think about that as being possibly the explanation.
I think it is because I think runners, you're not necessarily stretching your ankles. You don't need that floppiness.
Yeah.
But kicking, you want to have the ankle flexibility, so you're getting the top of your foot and the bottom of your foot propelling the water.
Yeah, that's one thing I think a lot of people don't do because I teach some adults how to swim. I do some adult swim lessons, and I'll give them a kickboard and ask them to kick across the pool, and some of them just won't move.
Yeah.
They'll kick and they're trying, but they won't move at all.
Yeah.
And so it's not a very natural thing to learn. But I remember when I started kicking, when I swam at BC, I would get dropped in the kick sets. It was always the hardest thing for me to do was the kick sets. And I even swam with some club teams in the off season, And that was even worse because some of those
yeah.
high school kids can just kick so fast. It's crazy.
Always those little young high school kids. Yeah. It's really interesting. It's like wearing shoes in the pool. I don't know how many people have done that, but if you've worn your tennis shoes and ever tried to kick, it almost feels like you're going absolutely nowhere because they're so rigid versus putting fins on, even though you're still putting a piece of you're still putting something on your foot that's like big and heavy. Your fins obviously make you go flying, and shoes make you go absolutely nowhere. So I think it's just the rigidity has so much to do with
Exactly.
kicking.
I think that's a good equation. That's like what times a lot of runners look like because they're kicking with their shoes on.
Yeah.
But I'll tell people a lot, and we work with the young kids in Santa Barbara Swim Club, and littles like 6 and under, we kick.
Yeah.
Because if you kick, then they learn how to hold their body line. And then just kicking all the way through and really work on that.
Yeah.
And even with adults, I'll tell people like, kick. If you're tired on swimming, put fins on. You're going to condition your legs. You're going to flex them. You're going to have flexible ankles. Everything's going to go.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna jump into a set today. This is the set we did for Masters. But Mark, if you have any like stories that come up in your mind and you want to go off on a little rabbit trail during the podcast, totally feel free to do that.
Sounds good.
But I guess let's just take it through. Like, this is something we kind of talk about a lot, and sometimes it gets overlooked. But like, how do you warm up well? Like, what's the point of a warm up in swimming, and like, how do you get people to warm up for to be fast? You know.
Yeah, that's a good question because sometimes people don't think they need warm up, and it all depends. Some people are more fast twitch, probably don't need as much, but distance swimmers or long distance, you tend to need a little bit to get in your groove. But before our main set, I always like to do like 1,000 to 1,500 of a warm up. Mm-hmm. Usually, the first 400 of that is pretty smooth swimming, steady. For you want to be trying to be just horizontal in the water for 3 minutes or so or more, on each of those, thinking about technique, just focusing on that. And then after that, I like to do some speed play and a little bit of getting your heart rate up and then slowing it back down. So our preset today, before we did our main set, after we did like 200s, choice equipment on 3.5 minutes, this is 50 meter long course pool. It's kind of just get yourself into it. And then we did a little bit of 650s drilling on some freestyle, thinking about high elbow catch, thinking about catch up. So you're trying to do a proper breathing to, so that you're kind of getting your mind ready to go. And then the preset was you did 2 rounds of this where we went 100 on a pretty tight interval, so that you get your heart rate up a little bit. And then we did 250s where you go 15 fast, 35 easy. And that's just really get going, not breathing, spinning, and then slowing down. And then we finished up with 425s variable, again, which is speed play, where you're going like half a lap fast, half a lap easy, half a lap easy, half a lap fast, all easy. Mm-hmm. So it's just sort of a little bit of flush, but it's also a little bit of getting your heart rate up and down. So you do need some moment, you have to get your heart rate up, I think, to get yourself warmed up. Mm-hmm. It's hard to expect just to swim slow and then go into some speed.
Yeah, I've definitely started sets before where the first couple like intervals or whatever of the main set don't go that well, and then I like start really hitting the times, and it's probably just I wasn't warmed up enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a more distance-oriented athlete, it's going to take you longer typically. That's just how your body works.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in those mornings too. Like if you're an evening swimmer, you can probably warm up almost twice as fast because your core temperature might be a little higher. But if you just rolled out of bed and got into your car and didn't drink a coffee or something and your core temp is pretty low, or you just haven't been moving in a while, it can take so long sometimes. So don't judge your first 1,000 yards until you've done the whole practice.
Definitely. There's many days I dive in and it's just slow, and then you're like, okay, I know I got to get warmed up. But I'm a morning person though.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better in the morning because by the end of the day I'm tired, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. So you got to know your body rhythms.
Yeah, for sure. And I noticed too, for me, like doing triathlons and stuff, where I swim in warmer open water, it's so much easier to like get ready for the race.
Right.
I don't have to swim nearly as long.
Yeah.
But like cold races where you're wearing the wetsuit and the water's maybe like 58 or 60, it's just like
I don't even warm up.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't.
I just do it on land.
Yeah. Because I had one race where, like totally random, I was like in Uzbekistan for a weekend doing a race, and it was like raining and the water was like under 60, and I got in and I like tried to warm up, but then they have us like line up and they have to call us out to the start line, and it's like raining, and I just got so cold. I almost like hyperventilated, or like it was terrible. I had a terrible swim during that race, and I just felt like I didn't warm up till the run. Like it was just like the whole race I was just trying to warm up, and it was pretty miserable. So after that I started just like, if it's a cold water race, I'll like splash some cold water in my face, but I'll like warm up on the dry land and stuff.
Exactly. I'd rather just deal with it right in the beginning.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, you don't want the warm up to turn into a cool down. If your warm up makes your body temperature get lower, then I don't know if you actually warmed up or not.
Exactly.
So yeah, you might want to just stay warm on that dry land and stay in your parka if you have to. But
do some running, do some other things to get your heart rate up and get yourself going.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this main set today.
All right.
Yeah. Do you want to just walk us through it?
Sure. So for Masters is a little different sometimes. I like to try, this is a Wednesday here. We do quality day.
Okay.
Every day of the week at Santa Barbara Masters, we have a different theme. So like Monday is aerobic, kind of conditioning. Endurance building is pretty moderate. You know, you think of like, I don't know if you ever do colors or zones, the John Urbanachek system. You think it's like a moderate heart rate day. Everybody loves Mondays because masters like to come in and swim slow a lot of times. So it feels good, especially after a weekend. You know, you can kind of just get all your kinks out.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are stroke days. So Tuesdays we roll through butterfly, a few butterfly day, a backstroke day, and a breaststroke day. So every 3 weeks you'll hit those strokes. Wednesdays is quality day. It's usually freestyle. Quality can either mean you're trying to hit really tight intervals or you're going fast with a lot of rest. So it play off the difference there, because it used to be, it's like teaching people that it just doesn't mean you go on the tightest interval possible and just keep swimming and never changing your speed really doesn't do as much for you. So some days we give more rest to expect you to go fast. Actually does a little more benefit for you.
Nice.
And then Fridays are sprint days. Well, Thursdays are IM, and then Fridays are sprint. We don't do much more than a 25 or a 50. Go off the blocks. They go fast. We put everybody together. Took a little bit to get people to used to it, but the whole pool swims together, and everybody goes fast. And we give a ton of rest. But I even think for triathletes sometimes, like that first part of a race when you want to get out and going, you got to have a little bit of that in you. You can actually get a lot of benefit out of doing 25s fast. It's exhausting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm racing like sprint and Olympic distance, and it's pretty competitive and really fast. And like that first 100, or even the first 200, when you're trying to get to that first buoy, it's so critical. And it's like, it almost like that's kind of like the whole swim, because once you get after that, everyone just kind of settles into the pack.
Totally.
And if there are gaps, they just blow out from there.
Exactly.
It's really hard to make it up after that first 200.
Totally. You want to get out there, like in Santa Barbara when we do reef and run, you want to get out to the buoy pretty fast and turn the bend and be out with the leaders versus trying to swim through everybody and get caught up. Yeah, because you're not going to catch that pack that's
no way.
And there are a lot of people that know how to shoot out really fast, and then they will die. And so if you want to be with that true guy that is going to be the first out of the water and you want to get on his butt, you got to make sure you're up there, so when those slower guys drop off, you don't get stuck getting dropped off with them.
Yeah.
You know, if you can get up with that fast guy and get right on his butt and stay there, I mean, that's going to be critical. You can't catch up. You have to stay with them.
No. I always know who my competitors are for reef and run, and I make sure I keep an eye on them so I know when I'm ready to go. Because then you don't have to spend so much time finding them.
I always say, like, I got this from one of my pro triathlon friends, Matt Mack. The first buoy is the finish line.
Yeah.
Because like some of my best swims where I just sprint as hard as I can, like out of my mind hard to that first buoy, and I'm like, one of the times I just needed to do backstroke because I was like so gassed. But then the guy swam past me and I got on their feet, and that little 5 seconds rest that I had doing backstroke was enough for me to like get back in it and So what's this? What's this main set?
So today is Wednesday, so this is quality day. Pushing a little bit tighter intervals in the beginning, but then wanting you to go fast at the end. So we start out with a 200 strong. So if this is long course, base minus 10. So I'll give you an example. This is like a 130 base lane. So this means the 200 strongs on 250. Which here in Masters, you have such different levels that could be at the 130 base. You got Kyle that can throw down a 210 if he wants to. So he could be going on a base of like 110 or 120 if he wanted. And then you have other people that if they go 250, they're really pushing it. So to give a good workout for everybody, you know, I like to play with different distances and play with some active recovery too, because people can do different things. So yeah, you go out in a 200 strong. Again, thinking about get out to the buoy, go fast, because that's about the distance here in Santa Barbara. So you think, and you get out there, and then you go into 450s active recovery, but those are on base +5, which is on 50. So it's not a ton of rest.
Yeah.
It's just getting you swimming, kind of a steady pace. And like if you're somebody like Kyle, you could push that harder. So you have faster people.
Yeah.
They may go into a faster pace on that and say, I want you to hold 35s here. Give yourself 15 seconds rest. And then there are other people that might be coming in on 48 because they need it.
Yeah.
And then the key thing then after that is 100 fast on base. But you're telling them that you want everybody to go at least 120 or better.
Yeah.
And like Kyle, I was teasing him today because he was kind of swimming slow on his 200, and he said he could go faster, and I was like, whatever. And then, but he told me he would go 59 on his 100 long course. So he threw that down.
Nice.
And so you got somebody going 100, and Kyle's pretty tired after going 59.
Yeah.
And then you got somebody next to him going 112. That's still a really good effort for them, and they're feeling good. And like one guy finished with a 109, and they're tired, and then you go 100 active, 100 easy after that.
Yeah.
And then we repeat that 3 times.
3 times, nice.
And the goal is trying to get faster each round. That's what a distance person's going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to find you're going to get warmed up. You're going to feel better each round. You're probably going to get faster. Some people then they're like, no, they go out,
too hard and
too
kind
hard.
of pay for it later. Yeah.
And I also too, if people are start using fins, I know some people say fins are cheating.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that's the case.
Okay.
I think if you work hard with fins, and that it's good for you,
Yeah.
you're gonna still get some benefit from it. So some people may use fins here, and you can really kill yourself in 100 fast with fins. It can be exhausting too, as long as you kick.
Yeah, I've realized for me personally, like using fins helps me to kick with better technique because like I wasn't always like not coming from a swim background, I wasn't always pushing on both sides of my foot in the water, but the fin I kind of like helps me relax my ankle more and get that push up and down when I kick.
And it's a lot easier to do like a 6-beat kick or a 2-beat. You don't have you really can't cross over. And the crossover kick is usually because you're balancing, you're not using your core.
Yeah. I'm gonna be so fast after this collarbone kicking. I'm gonna be crushing all those.
You should be. Definitely. That's there's always kind of benefits from that. We know some girl one time at UCSB, she broke both of her elbows skateboarding. Had to spend a whole fall kicking. Had her best season ever.
Dang.
That's amazing.
So, legs are strong.
The legs are the base, I
agree.
I was noticing something with fins too, and if you're like a swimmer that's trying to keep up with other swimmers that are a little faster and stuff, and you have to use fins, like don't be afraid, because I feel like swimming in a lot of ways almost is kind of like riding a bike. Like the faster you're going in the water, the more stable your body is, the more rigid it becomes because you're moving through the water quicker. Kind of like when you're riding a bike, it's easier to kind of stay straight and you can't turn as sharply. So when you have fins and you're going a little bit faster, your body line's going to be tighter, your technique will like honestly improve a little bit, and you can swim at a faster pace and have kind of a slightly better technique with those fins keeping you in a better body line when you're more tired. So then when you do get out and race, like you're spending more time in a better spot to be practicing your technique. You can flip into the walls a little bit faster, your flip turns a little tighter. There's just so many benefits to being able to move a little quicker in the water even when you're tired, and I think having those fins and being able to keep up with people quicker than you, there's so many, like fins aren't, it's cheating as in you can keep up with the people that aren't wearing fins, but you're not cheating yourself.
No, I think you should use that right. And another thing too, I always like to tell people is like when you're going fast, especially using fins or using that stuff, really try to control your head. Try to make sure your eyes are down, head, neck, spine, everything's aligned. You feel like you got a snorkel on at all times.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people want to swim faster and you think you got to move your head. And you're using all this movement, which just creates turbulence. Makes it hard. And it's like you're not in the ocean all the time. So I mean, I'll get ready for that. But steady head.
I've seen people too, like the faster they go, like the more they like shove their head down in the water.
I know.
I used to do that a couple years ago. Like when I started sprinting, my head would just like keep sinking under the surface, and I was just like, it's interesting. That's so true.
Yeah. So good. But so a set like this it works probably more VO2 max. You want you to, if you go fast enough. You're getting, you're building your oxygen lung capacity here, but definitely important to use the active recovery to go fast.
Yeah.
But master, someday somebody may be like, I just want to swim through it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're okay with that too.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody has different goals.
So, oh
I
yeah,
was gonna say, I really like this set too, as somebody that like, because a lot of times, is it computer? Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you do a set that involves fast, like you can get a lot of lactic acid buildup, and you go fast, and then you cool down, and you try to go fast again, and your body's so tight and so like worked up. But with this set, you do strong, your heart rate gets really high, and then you do a little bit of cruise, which is nice, but on an interval that keeps you moving. So then when you jump into that 100 fast, you feel your heart rate's up and you're warmed up and you're a little tired aerobically, but your muscles are still very relaxed because you haven't had time for that. You've been flushing that lactic acid out really efficiently, and I think that was really cool. And it kind of lets you stay a lot more steady through the set. If you were to just do 3 100s sprinting and for 3 rounds, by your 3rd round you might actually go way slower because you're just so tightened up. So this is a great way to descend a set while still going really fast. So I really liked how you wrote that. But.
So I noticed there's not an interval above 200 on this. How often do you give sets where you're doing like 500 meters or 1,000 meters or whatever? Because like it's a total triathlete thing to just do like 3 by 1,000 or something like that.
Very rare. We have Sundays once a month that we'll do workouts here at Los Banos, and we'll call that Go the Distance.
Yeah.
And I found people, you know, we had a pretty big crowd. Some people love to do that. Not everybody. So when you've got like 60 people in the pool, if I gave 500s, it would, you know, cane mutiny, just because it'd be hard to get everybody going, or thousands. But I'm like, we did the other day, we did like a 5,000, tried to get 5,000 in an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
So we went like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And so played around with that, and people loved it because you can kind of get into the zone and use, you know, you can use whatever gear you want, go on base, and just crank through it.
Yeah.
So not too much. I rarely go above 300s. I get a lot of squawking.
Yeah.
But you don't try to do that. And now that I'm an old retired swimmer too, anything longer than the 300s, like, oh, that's a little too long. But I do love swimming in the ocean. So like, I'll go, you know, it's easy to go a mile, 2 mile, 3 miles and not think about it. But in the pool, we tend to stay a little shorter.
What's the philosophy behind that, like shorter intervals and stuff?
You mean just staying tighter intervals?
Yeah.
In terms of how effective it is, and why it's normally done by coaches.
Because obviously, like college swimmers and stuff, they're so fast.
Yeah.
Compared to like triathletes or just someone who's getting into swimming.
Yeah.
So like, why is it that swimming shorter intervals makes you faster for like a mile or like a 500 or whatever?
I think because you can actually go faster for shorter. Like if a mile set, like anytime you want to try to swim at pace for a mile, you've got to. First of all, it's probably harder to go hold, because if your body gets used, kind of the idea there is your body's getting used to holding a certain pace that you need to do.
Yeah.
And so if you can't really hold that, if you swim 500, it'd be really hard to hold a mile pace in practice.
Yeah.
You're going to go, you know, you're going to get in good shape if you're going to go fast, but it's really hard. Like we had milers that, you know, their goal was to be 54 in the 100. Even if you go 5 100s, and they're holding 54 and it's on 110, that is a really hard set.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like trying to get people, so it's easier the lower you go down. You may find that pace where people can't hold mile pace at 100, but you go down to 50s or 75s, and let's say in the 50s they have to hold 27, they can do that all day long. So you can give them 20 50s on 35 yards, and they can hold 27. And their body is getting used to that. But what I always like to do for sets like that, though, with our distance kids, is do like 2 500s. I would like to do things in a set of a mile. So if you're trying to get a goal time, do like 2 500s in the beginning that were hard on tight intervals, but you're not going to hold your pace. But your heart rate's going to get up, and you're going to replicate the feeling of where you're going to be in your last like 650 in a mile. Because for long course or swimmers, that's about when they say it really starts to hurt. Our stomach starts hurting. It's just pain hits at about right after the 1,000. So that's where you want to get them to feel like they're starting to be there, and then you hit the paces. And it could be maybe 100. They're not going to hold that many of them unless they're just animals. Like you know, some of the programs where people are swimming 10, 20, 30,000, you know, 10,000 yard workouts or meters, and they're not even thinking about it. They can probably do that, but limited times in college, sometimes you don't have that, or people don't have 2.5, 3 hours to swim every day. So if you can hold 50s at your pace and your body gets used to that when you're tired, it's a good way to get it used to that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's one thing I've been changing more lately is doing like shorter intervals and stuff. And I think the only set I remember back when I swam at BC that was like longer is we did like 8 500s on 6 minute or something for like the distance crew. That was like our one day. It was like our going long day. But I thought that set was really fun.
Yeah.
Like doing it. But I couldn't imagine doing that set every day or even like once a week, you know?
It takes a special person to do sets like that on a regular basis. But distance swimmers are great. They like to do that kind of stuff. You like to get into a rhythm and you want to get faster. But as a coach too, it's not always that fun to coach. It's like you're just sitting there. Of course you want to keep track of their times and splits, but you want to keep them engaged. And if there's other ways to do it, it can be more engaging and you get more interaction and you can have a little more time to give a little more technique pointers or work on turns or hold streamlines off walls. That's why I like it's a little more interactive at smaller distances, shorter.
Yeah, definitely. That is super cool. I feel like just naturally humans tend to settle into like a more distance, like more aerobic rhythm quicker than they do for something like a sprint practice. And I feel like that's why always the stigma that distance swimmers are more focused than sprinters is because when you're doing distance, it's just like your mind starts to kind of relax. It becomes more methodical. And even if you're doing something really hard, you're doing it consistently. And with sprinters, they're taking a lot of time off and they're letting lactic acid build and then they're jumping into something. And I feel like our brain kind of slips into that rhythmic like distance a little bit quicker than it does with that sprinting stuff. And so I think that's why you always see distance swimmers kind of more on track, like mentally kind of on average more than the sprinters, even though the sprinters might be working just as hard in those ways. But
definitely. I think too, it's like, it's nice, it's comfortable to go into a distance pace and you can, like triathletes, I think it's not bad to obviously do a couple distance swim workouts, but most of your runs and bikes are probably super ultra aerobic. So, it's okay to throw some speed in every there and now and then and make it hurt.
Yeah, for sure. So we were kind of talking about this before we got on the pod, but I really wanted to touch on this topic. So for like college swimming and stuff, obviously like it's a super high level, especially in the NCAA Division I and stuff. It's like incredible, like how fast these athletes go. How much impact do you think as a coach, and like give your honest opinion, do you think the swimmers who like party and drink on the weekends has an effect on them versus like the swimmers who are like pretty like straight edge and stuff? Do you think because I've heard like crazy stories from like Olympians and stuff, like swimmers like going super hard and like partying and stuff. It's like, it's something you don't think. It's like, why would they do that? They're like supposed to be like the best athletes in the world and stuff. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think that there's certain people that can get away with that. So there's certain people that their bodies and Olympians are kind of super breeds in themselves. I watch people that are Olympians that swim with us at Santa Barbara Masters or swim, like there's an 88-year-old man that swims with us every now and then, sets world records. 88, still can dive, still has a beautiful stroke, still holds onto the water. They're kind of freaks of nature.
Yeah.
They can just do that. They have the talent and everything. I think that most people, science shows you're going to be partying. I don't know if they do it every single weekend, but your body, you wear down, you get tired, you get sick. It impacts everything. It increases inflammation. There's all these things that just doesn't allow you to get to actually get to peak performance. The question would be, how faster could the Olympians be
if they didn't do
super
that?
fast people if they didn't do it?
Yeah, wow.
But I do think of this one in like a leadership book that we were reading once where there was a team that had a quarterback that could go out and a football team and they were not performing very well, and the star player was quarterback and he could go out and party every weekend, brought the whole team with, super charismatic kind of guy, and the team was performing poorly, and the coach said, you can get away with going out and partying all weekend, but the rest of your guys can't. You're bringing them down. So what happened then is like he stopped doing that, and the rest of the team stopped doing that, and then they turned into a winning season. So I think sometimes you can't look at, it doesn't impact some people, but it doesn't mean it won't impact you.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. You've raced Ryan Lochte before. He was kind of a party guy.
Yeah.
I wonder how many more medals you got.
You never know.
I raced him in probably one of his last like 5 or 6 career races, a month before his last Olympic trials where he retired. And he was like a little overweight, still the Ryan Lochte we all love and know. But yeah, I don't even know. He was up to a lot of stuff, and I've heard whispers in so many different angles of so many elite swimmers and just elite athletes just going crazy, But I think the common denominator that I see as an athlete with all these other athletes that do party and go crazy is they do it in extreme moderation, and they do it once and they go all out, and then they give their body a long time to kind of straighten out before they do something like that again. Like they wait till their big meet is over, or they wait until
I've seen
and
that.
then and they have a dry season where they spend a month, 2 months, 3 months before their big meet not doing a single thing. So it's like what they did 3 months ago might have some residual effect, but it's not significant enough because they did focus when it really mattered. So I think my interpretation of it is that you just need to know when the time is right to let yourself relax, because I think it's super important. If that's somebody's way of de-stressing, it's good, but you also need to make sure you're ready when the time comes around. And if you've been screwing around too much and you've risked your sleep or your recovery or anything like that, you could really screw yourself fast.
Put in a lot of work in the pool. We always try to say, do whatever you can to mitigate, because if you need more recovery because you're out there, having too much fun on the weekends or not taking care of yourself, it's your choice.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I also think it's probably has a lot to do with like the mindset too of it, because I'm sure some people like me, like I don't drink at all and I have like no problem with it. I'm never like pressured to feel like it. Like I've gone to some parties and stuff. I've gone out to clubs after triathlon races and stuff with some of my friends and have a good time. But some people, I would imagine, if they stress themselves out, they're like, oh, I need to like stay away from this. And then it just causes more stress and anxiety in their life. Maybe like letting loose one time might actually be better. So you never know. I don't know. Everyone's so individual. Like even Tadej Pogačar, I've seen him on the podium where like, they get a beer or like champagne or whatever. Or like Tom Pidcock, I think, like chugged a whole like half bottle of champagne on the podium like super fast, and it was like so they made a huge reel out of it. It got like super viral. But he's like 2-time Olympic champion and like and he doesn't like think about it that way. He's just like it's like I won the race. I can have a little champagne, a little drink.
And it's in moderation.
And if having a good time on the weekend once in a while can give you that mental reset you need and prevent your burnout, and then you can actually jump back in the next week and get a full week of training because you're mentally ready for it. Sometimes that can beat out actually sitting on your butt and trying to do everything right and then being so burnt out you don't even want to train the next week. So I think everyone just kind of has to find their own spot where they're not overdoing it, but they're also not they're being mature and they're taking control of it, and they're not letting themselves go too far in one direction or the other. And I think finding that balance is really I think what a lot of Olympians or really high caliber athletes have done that include that routine sometimes in their training season or in their off season or whatever.
Totally. Taking care of your body when you need to.
And this is another thing I was thinking about too, like as a swim coach, how much of an impact do you think you have on the athlete? Because I feel like swimming, I was thinking about it, I was talking with one of my friends, I feel like that's the sport where the coaches see the athlete more than a lot of other sports. Like my coach is in Europe, so I like FaceTime him and stuff, but he doesn't really see me in person. So there's not many sports where the coach is watching you the whole practice every single day. How much of an impact do you feel like that has on the athlete's performance?
I think it depends on the athlete and depends on the coach, but I think you can have a lot. If take some time to build trust and get to build a relationship with an athlete to get that way. But we see them a lot. I can look in the water and see somebody swim the first few strokes and know they're going to feel good that day, or if something's going on, or you can tell people, or you can see on their faces. But it's knowing when to push, knowing when to keep your mouth shut, and when to help. But I think there's college kids too. I think it's fun to watch people grow up. They may not change as fast as you want them to, and they may never change completely during the course of their college career, but then you see them later in life and you're like, no, they did what they're supposed to, and because most swimmers are good people.
Nice. That's awesome. Right, well, we're getting close to that. Do you have any like final questions or things?
Man, I mean,
Like, is there anything you want to get out of them on the pod?
No,
for the people?
well, yeah, I've been so grateful to have Mark as a coach my last 4 years, and honestly, as a coach now, I'm always grilling him with questions. He's always been holding me accountable, to not push off the bottom, not pulling the lane line. He can't get on me as much now that I'm a triathlete and that I have a little bit more leeway and stuff like that. But yeah, no, Mark's been great, and he's done a lot. He got us to our first conference championship last year for the men's and women's team. So very, very great spot to leave us on there. But yeah, I've asked him a lot of questions. He's taught me a lot. So on the fly, I want to hear your hot take. I think that's kind of
what's
the
your
thing
hot,
we've
what's
been
your hot
waiting for. I
take
feel like you've
for
got a good
swimming
one here. So
to close us out?
Oh, yeah. I think going back to fins, people that annoy me are like, I'm not going to use fins. That's cheating. I don't like them. I won't use them. I think it's like, first of all, I think you have like a non-growth mindset because you're like,
Yeah.
I'm only going to swim. I'm a purist. And I was like, there's so many things you can do with fins. It makes workouts more interesting. You can get some speed. You can work on your ankle flexibility. You can do a lot of other things that make it sort of fun. So we got some old masters, I call them Luddites, that are like, no fins, not going to use them. And it's just like, I think they have non-growth mindsets, and they need to figure out how to, every now and then we got to change things up, got to do things differently. And it just doesn't even have to be fins. There's a lot of things that be open to new things. Just because one way works doesn't mean others won't.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. Well,
Yeah.
sweet.
Throw some fins on, guys. That's
some
the
fins
rest
on.
of the podcast there.
Yeah. I've been wearing fins my whole practices because that's all I can do is kick right now. But
Yeah.
well, sweet, Mark, dude. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
coming on the pod. I really appreciate it. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
you bet.
have you on again
All
sometime
right.
in the
Yeah.
future.
Great to be here.
Yeah,
Good to
absolutely.
see you guys. Good to spend time. I'm glad you swam at practice.
Yeah.
I'm glad Kyle finally decided to work, towards the end of workout.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you,
Okay.
Mark.
I
Yeah,
got some video
always-
of that too.
Always getting some flack, but
Yeah.
We'll drop a video of Kyle swimming in this episode. But yeah, that's it for today, you guys. If you like this kind of content, subscribe. We're gonna have a lot more guests coming on the show. Kyle's bringing some great guests, and this is a beautiful pool, Los Baños in Santa Barbara. I love it.
yeah, it's not a Zoom background. It's actually the pool.
real.
I
This is
could
the
go
real
jump in
pool.
if I really wanted.
Go jump in right
No,
now.
thank you. Okay. I'll save that for another podcast. Maybe
Yeah, maybe that'll be our thing. in the
special
future.
subscriber episode or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't, not today.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Thanks, you guys.
All right. Bye now.